Hello and welcome to the For the Badge YouTube channel. This is a football channel where myself and my good friends are going to be talking about all things football all throughout the next seasons over the summer, and most importantly today we are discussing the 26-man England squad for Euro 2020. So today, to discuss the Euro 2020 squad, I am joined by none other than my good friend Jude.
Hello.
And my good friend Kai as well.
Hi.
So, let's get into it. Let's just start. We've each put together our own 26-man squad and our own starting 11, but it does differ between us, so we're just going to be discussing why we've made such changes. So let's start with the goalkeepers. So for my goalkeepers, I've chosen three goalkeepers from the Premier League. Nick Pope is my starting keeper. The man's a giant. He's been doing bits for Burnley. He got close to the Golden Glove last season. This season, not quite as close, but still doing very well. Burnley have a very good defensive record, although they are quite low down the table. Followed by Jordan Pickford, which was controversial putting him as second because of obviously the history he's had with the England team. But finally, third place, I've put Sam Johnston, which is a bit of a curveball considering he has a lack of English experience. So let's see how that compares. Jude, do you want to go?
It's interesting. So for me, I've picked three keepers as well. However, I've gone slightly different from you. I said my first choice keeper has got to be Dean Henderson, in my opinion. So you talk about top clubs. I mean, Man United are second on the league table at the moment. They've got the least amount of losses of any other Premier League team. You're talking, they have got a lot of defensive issues through their centre-backs. Dean Henderson has played a large amount of Premier League games and I think he's just class. It would be wrong to not put him in the England squad. But yeah, so he's my first choice keeper in this situation. I've gone with Nick Pope, as you said, very, very solid. Almost got on the Golden Glove last year. Not as close this year, but he has proven his quality in the England squad as well. And I've backed it up with Pickford. He has done it for England before. I don't see why he can't do it again. But going with the old trusty, the old reliable. So yeah, going with Pickford. But yeah, it's on to Kai. What are you saying about your keepers?
Oh, well, see, I've gone with Archie's point. I think instead of starting Pope, we start Pickford. Pickford, reliable in goal for England. Won us the penalty shootout at Colombia, which, as we can remember, was a great summer. But as we can see, experienced keeper at the back, good with his feet, and I think he's just a better choice than Pope. However, I also believe that Johnston has a shout for it. Johnston has been a reliable keeper for West Brom most of the year. And with his good shot stopping and his good play at the back, I don't see why not he couldn't start. He's got an assist this year, so now Harry Kane at the top.
Yeah, he has. That West Brom demolition of Chelsea only a few weeks ago, yeah. I think Sam Johnston, the thing is, he's never, well, at least we've never seen him with an experienced defence. He's had a relegation defence in front of him all season and has made 7 or 8 saves a game. Like, he's consistently brilliant. But perhaps his goals conceded doesn't reflect that because of the leaky defence he has in front of him. I mean,
I just don't understand why you guys haven't gone with Dean Henderson. I think when you're talking about class keepers, we're talking the guy's currently he's in battle with David De Gea, who I know it's under a bit of debate, but at one stage was one of the best keepers in the world. I think everyone can agree. And he's currently in the process of nicking that number one spot at one of the top 6 teams in the Premier League, possibly the toughest league in the world. I think you'd be wrong not to. And as well as that, you've got to think about who's most likely going to start in front of him, Maguire. So who's got a great connection with their centre-backs? And you need that keeper who's got a great connection with his centre-backs, understands what his centre-backs are doing. And the fact that he's at United with Maguire as well, I don't see why you can't control that between Maguire, between Shaw, he's got those links in the club as well. And I think Yeah, I think you'd be wrong not to take him. That's my
I
my
mean,
opinion.
you back your horse well.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
my
maybe,
guy.
Kai, maybe we should allow him to get into the squad.
Stick to your
But
guns. Stick to your
who do we have
guns.
in the team?
See, I don't.
There he
think
is, the Man U fan.
I don't think you could take it. I don't think you could take anyone out of that team. For if we were. Gonna
So you
take
reckon
someone
Pickford?
Out, yeah, if we were going to take someone out of that team, so we're having Johnston, Pope, and Pickford as our goalkeepers. If we were to take someone out of that team, who would you take?
I think it would have to be Johnston.
But Johnston had a
because-
full season. He had a full
True.
season in goal.
But he hasn't had the international experience that Dean
True.
Henderson has. He's not had it in massive amounts, but he just hasn't had it. And I think that paves the way for Dean
Yeah,
Henderson
true.
to come in.
But Jude, are we saying we take Dean Henderson to play or for the experience? For example, it's like when
It depends who you're playing
England
against.
a couple
It depends who
years-
you're playing
what,
against.
15 years ago, took Ashley Young with them, but didn't play him or
Didn't play him.
didn't think
Same
about
with
that.
Rio Ferdinand in '98.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah, you are right. You are right.
Yeah. Okay.
You're right, but-
I reckon Henderson goes for the experience.
Yeah.
Pickford
For sure.
might have to start because of the experience he has.
Yeah.
Pope in the middle, and Johnston just leaves his place because of the chip that Dean Henderson is.
Oh,
young.
yeah.
He's got the future.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. That's a good little agreement.
Should we move on to the defenders then?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, let's go on to the defenders.
Defenders now.
Defenders.
And let's start with Kai.
Oh, so my defence. We've gone trusty and reliable for the most of the season. At left back, we'll start with Shaw. I think been brilliant this season. Reliable at left back. Honestly, hasn't put a foot wrong. After his injury a couple of years ago, he looked shaky, but now he's back at his best. And then centre backs. I don't think you can really change these two centre backs. We've got Stones and Maguire. They've been solid. They've been consistent. And yes, Maguire had a shaky start, but it's seeming like he's now on track. And then right back, a bit of a controversial one because we have tons. I believe that Carl Walker should start. I
Okay.
feel like he's had the most experience. He's still well known in the City team that is winning everything right now.
Yep.
And just that defensive minded player that could also attack. Besides Reece James, I get Reece James is a good shout, but I feel like Walker has got the upper level on Reece James right now.
I have no changes to make.
Oh, love it.
Walker, Stones, Maguire, Shaw. Yeah, completely all the same. You've got that Man City link, Walker to Stones, and that Man United link, Maguire to Shaw. So they'll know how to play with each other. They can be bombing up the wing, as Shaw has done incredibly this season. Yeah, I've got nothing to say. Jude, did you change anything?
I went with Reece James personally. I think when you talk about the modern defender, you're talking about someone that can defend and that can bomb it up the wing. I think he's young, he's got pace, he's athletic, he's in the Champions League final, and it's not like he's been carried there. He's been in the starting 11 of the Champions League final, you know. Don't get me wrong, I completely agree with Walker as well, but it was just a matter of opinion. In my opinion, I thought James is a bit younger, a little bit more athletic. Yeah, I think either or, but yeah, I went with Reece James.
So you say Reece James because he can be bombing up the wing, etc. Is there not the argument that Trent Alexander-Arnold does that better?
Do you know what? I thought this. But I think when you're looking at an England squad, prime England squad, you don't know who you're coming up against. And the likes of, if you're coming up against France, for example, you're going to want someone who's a little bit more defensive minded, in my opinion. You're going to want someone that's, and then you could even argue you want Wan-Bissaka in there in that instance against a strong team like France. That's why I've put Wan-Bissaka in my 26-man squad. I think you'd be wrong to leave out a great defender like that. But yeah, Trent, he'd be perfect against a team like Spain, who've got a very solid back four, depending if they play 4 or 5. They've got a very solid defensive line, especially with the talks of, what's his name coming over now from City, Laporte coming across, you know. Yeah, you know, I think he'd be brilliant against a side like that. You'd be wrong to leave Trent out, but in terms of starting 11, I think maybe the likes of Walker or the likes of Reece James had a fairly consistent season, and they're just very strong defensively.
I think at the end of the day, we've got to take variety. We've got to take variety to the thing. So we've got people who can defend, we've got people who can attack. But at the end of the day, we just need that composure. Because when we do come up against those big teams, that composure will be key. And that's probably what edges Walker for me, is that composure at the back, where for a team that concedes very little amount of goals, like City do, I think that'd be class for our back line. Plus, Walker can play centre back if we needed to.
That's what I thought as well. Yeah, Walker's a great centre back option as well. I mean, he's not exactly got height on his side, but when it comes to like his composure, his defensive awareness, you know, he's just got it. He's got a massive amount of experience, and it'll be great for those younger boys. When you're talking about Wan-Bissaka, you talk about Trent, you talk about Reece James. He'd be great supporting them. Do you know the last time he got an England appearance, wasn't it against Iceland, and he was in the same team as Sturridge and Rooney or something, you know? But I think you got to bring him back into the squad. But yeah, so it's a right back option.
Fair enough, right? Defensive done.
That sounds like we've agreed on the defence. Shaw, Maguire, Stones, and Walker as our back four.
Yeah. Let's move on to the midfielders. Midfielders, a very controversial position on the pitch, but let's see what each of us have got. Jude?
Yeah.
Who have you gone for?
So I'm presuming we've gone for a 4-3-3 formation.
Yeah.
That we've decided on. Perfect. Yeah. So 4-3-3. So I'm thinking having 2 CDMs and a cam. In this situation, I went with Jordan Henderson as my first CDM. I think when you're talking about experience in a squad, the guy has it in abundance. You know, he's also a very good captain if we need it. He's got great leadership skills. You know, obviously Liverpool haven't had the best season this year, but you could probably put that down to luck in terms of injuries, in terms of that sort of thing. You know, players being out, been personal issues. I think Henderson is just a very solid CDM. On the other side, I've picked Declan Rice in terms of youth, in terms of just defensive mindedness. West Ham have had a great season. He knows what he's doing. When you're talking about your typical CDM, your big boy, he's just able to stop the ball, get it out, push it forward. I think, Declan Rice is a very, very solid option. And my final option I've gone for is Jack Grealish. So as a cam option in this situation, I know a lot of time people put him on the left wing, try and argue that he's a great, and I think he's just a great attacker in general. But I think when you're talking about an on-ball cam, a person that could pull people out, he's going to get centre-backs to come out towards him. He's going to pull them out, which is going to give Kane space, which is what we're looking for. So you can ping out to the wingers, get it back into Kane with a centre-back out of place. I think Grealish is a great option. He's brilliant on the ball. And yes, that's why I went with the my cam formation.
There you go. Kai, anything different?
Yeah, my first thoughts were to go with Henderson. But with Henderson's recent injury, I decided to leave him out of the team. Like Van Dijk, he may choose that he wants to spend the whole of the summer rehabbing, which seems a liability to put him into the team and then say he can't play. So I've decided, I agree with Rice. Rice had been quality this season. West Ham had a phenomenal season. Rice has actually only picked up 2 yellow cards in the whole of the Premier League season with 0 reds. Therefore, he's disciplined, he's controlled in his play, and he's more of that defensive role. He's more that out-and-out CDM that gives the likes of our other players to push forward and try and create that space for Kane. But my 2 differences were, I picked Phillips. Phillips for Leeds has been quality. Bielsa's changed the way Premier League sides look at how to play. Like, they've been one of the most entertaining teams this year, and Phillips has been a fundamental part of that.
Agreed.
So I think it's key to use the players in form for this Euros. We need to look at a thing and go, right, who's good, who's had the best year, who can distribute, who can tackle, who can do everything. And I think Phillips is the man for that. When looking at Cam, as much as I would love to put Grealish, Lingard has been on unbelievable form. Nine goals and 3 assists since January. At a West Ham team that I would say don't have the most world-class attackers. They're definitely Premier League quality, but are not the likes of Kane, Rashford, Sancho, people like that. And I think his movement off the ball is quality, and his ability to finish is amazing. And I feel like if we needed that second striker, but from a deeper role, we're looking at Lingard over Grealish. But then again, that's down to how I would expect England to play. I think Grealish, yeah.
It really depends. Do you want?
I think Grealish would be a quality option.
Do you want that the dribbler right in the middle, or do you want the goal scorer? Like Lingard brings that dynamic of long shots, the play with interlinking play with other players around him, whereas Grealish is much more the person that will drive you forward. He's the most. I think he is now still the most fouled player in the Premier League this season, and he's been injured for a couple of months now, and he still holds that title. I think fair enough points with both of them. But here is where I differ, and this is big. This is controversial. I'm going to get it up. Let me just start screen recording. This is what I've gone with. I've gone with a 4-3-3, but instead of the 2 CMs and the cam, I've gone with a holding midfielder and 2 CMs. In the holding, I've got Declan Rice there in the middle, moving around, providing the offensive. Yeah, Declan Rice, best in the England squad for playing that number 6 role, covering all around. Left centre mid, Jordan Henderson, absolute workhorse, as Kai was mentioning, defensive qualities, attacking qualities, captaining qualities. Can fill in for when Shaw goes bursting forward like that. Henderson can fill in here, cover the central areas, the wide areas. But I have put Trent Alexander-Arnold in the right centre mid position.
Interesting.
Because if you have a bombing forward fullback like Kyle Walker, Trent can fill in there.
Yeah.
If Kyle Walker decides, no, today I'm going to be defensive, if you're looking for that solidarity, the consistency in a back four, Trent bombs forward and covers. And Rice can move along, and Henderson can come in more central and create a 2 with Trent roaming around that right-hand side. But also, with this, you can flip into a 3 at the back, Trent at the right wing back, Kyle Walker moves into a back 3, Shaw left, Trent right, Jordan Henderson and Declan Rice in the middle. And therefore he just allows so much tactical deviation in the middle of the game that I just think it seems perfect. And the fact that Southgate doesn't, or at least hasn't chosen him for the last squad, it just almost finds a way to force himself into the squad.
Yeah.
So saying all this, as of today, the 17th of May, it's just been announced by the Athletic newspaper that Trent is unlikely and that his chances of getting into the squad are improbable, as he hasn't leapfrogged the likes of Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier.
Yeah.
Which is devastating. But personally, I think he offers so much ability.
Yeah, for sure.
Attacking-wise, defensive-wise, he's worked on that. He's looking class solid the last few games. Southampton, Man United, he's played absolute blinders, and I think he's too good to leave out.
Yeah, I think he's definitely been neglected by Southgate. When you talk about qualities from that, even as a right back role, he's been neglected by Southgate, and I think it's when you're considering Kieran Trippier, obviously he's had a brilliant season. When you're considering the likes of Chilwell, brilliant season. But I just think, in terms of fullback options, Trent is brilliant. As a midfielder, that's interesting. I like the variation you're trying to bring into the squad. I think it's a good option having him filling in as a right back if Walker pushes forward, especially against teams like your France's, players like that will be pushing. But as you're trying to counter back, maybe if Kyle Walker pushes ahead, it's good to have him come back across.
In.
For sure, and you've got that defensive option,
and
which
also,
is
his range of passing.
Yeah.
That is something that you cannot deny.
The kid is possibly the most creative fullback in world football at the moment, I would argue. You know, in terms of creating chances, in terms of getting that ball in the box to, as we said earlier, probably Harry Kane, as I'm guessing we've all chosen, who is just a bully in the box. You know, I think he's just a clinical finisher. You want that option of having Trent, and as a midfielder, I understand. What I'm worried about though is maybe because he's never played that midfield role, maybe losing himself on the pitch. He's not going to know where he needs to be at what time. When you talk about having your Jordan Henderson, he knows he's done it since he was a kid. You know, I think in terms of having that midfield role, that DM, the Jordan Henderson is just quality. That's why I've gone with Grealish and with Declan Rice as well. I think Grealish is your cam. Declan Rice knows what he's doing. He's got that. Which Trent might get a bit lost, but in terms of defensive options, he's definitely he's world class.
Well, there you go. I think that's our midfield sorted. We've got a midfield three of Henderson, Rice and Lingard, but with Grealish, Bellingham, Mount all floating around fighting for those positions. Right, attackers, anyone?
Oh.
So yes, attackers, the goal scorers, the goal getters, the World Cup winners, the Euros winners.
It's coming on.
Let's get started.
It's coming.
It's coming out. Front three for all of us, and I think they're all very similar. Kai, what's your front three?
My front three to start will be Rashford on the left. I honestly think Rashford has been quality this season. He's really stepped up this season with the goals, the assists, and I think Jude will agree. His attacking ability has got a lot better. So he doesn't turn back as much, he takes on defenders, and that's what I'd like to see in it. I don't think anyone could dispute this. Kane's had a phenomenal season. With 22
100%.
goals and 13 assists, being top goal scorer and top
Crazy
assist.
numbers.
Exactly. I don't think you can leave without the
Ridiculous, yeah, for sure.
At Tottenham as well. This isn't at league leaders Man City chasing the Champions
No, we're
League.
talking
This is
at Tottenham, yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, we're talking about a team that, let's be honest, at the moment's about mid-table. So,
Yeah. And only today, Kane announced that he wants to leave.
Yeah, for sure. Man City, United, in the talk, Chelsea in the talks, you know.
I don't think we
Interesting.
we can't deny he's not a world-class striker. And then on the
No debating. Harry Kane's in there, captain.
And then on the right,
Yeah, he's my captain.
yeah, we could put a ton of people on the right. We could put Foden, we could put Grealish, we could put Sterling. Funny enough, I left Sterling out of my entire squad. But,
This is where I was wanted to grow you. But carry on with your right.
Sancho has shown over the last couple of seasons his quality. I don't see the reason why we don't take him. He gives that variety. He's played with the likes of Haaland. He's played with Royce. And like when you watch him play, his technical ability on the ball is amazing. And if we're looking at a player like Grealish, but I just feel like Sancho has that extra quality in the final product. Like if we need him to shoot, he will shoot. If we need him to assist, he will assist. And I feel like having Rashford and Kane as your prominent strikers, or like your prominent goal scorers, and you have that Sancho with the technical ability to just pick them out. And I feel like Sancho is a better fit for this England team than the likes of Sterling, the likes of Grealish. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm completely agreed with your entire front three. I think Rashford's been, as you say, amazing. I think he's been brought to life by the likes of Bruno Fernandes. This creative playmaker that Man U have needed for so long. He's come in and changed the game that Man U are playing, and really proven Rashford to be the clinical. Well, sometimes clinical, can be temperamental at times, but certainly just top quality attacker that we all know he could always be. But Kane, obviously, yeah, agreed. There's no point discussing it. Best, if not, other than Lewandowski, the best striker in the world. But Sancho actually became the last Englishman since David Beckham to produce 10 assists in 3 consecutive seasons this season.
Is that right?
I know it's the Bundesliga.
Wow.
I know it's different to the Premier League. Yeah. But you can't deny talent
He is class.
that comes like that.
Yeah.
But I think
He's class.
Difference good for the England team. We have a lot of players.
Yeah,
that play
it brings
in the
in variety for sure.
We're like the likes of Germany, like the likes of France, the likes of Spain. They all have different styles, and they bring it all together to make this one powerhouse.
Yeah.
I think England don't do that enough. We
Agreed.
don't spread our talents across the world. We keep it in what we.
That's why I want Trent in midfield.
but this is what we call the best league in the world. But at the same time, does variety hurt?
No, for sure.
No, I don't think it can.
For sure.
And let's be honest, Jadon Sancho almost looks destined for a move to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Could be anyone, be it back to City, be it United, Chelsea, Liverpool. He just looks like it's gonna happen sometime soon.
Sancho swapped it, weren't there? So.
Yeah. And Oxlade-Chamberlain apparently Dortmund are interested in. He's nowhere near the England team, I think. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But Jude, I think you're the same, aren't you?
Yeah, I put the same. I said Rashford, Kane, Sancho. I think, as you guys said, Sancho is absolutely class. Again, criminal to leave him out the squad, let alone the starting 11. In terms of wingers, I know obviously there's quite a few options with your Sterlings. Grealish can play out on the wing. Foden's proven he can play out on the wing, but Sancho brings in that variety. He is class. He has done it. He played for England before. Obviously, there's been a bit of controversy between his quality for England, but when we're talking about his form that he's been in for Dortmund over the last few weeks, he's been class. He's had a shaky start of the season at Dortmund. You know, he had a bit of a dry spell, didn't he, with his goals? But in terms of, he's come back from that, and he's brought up these numbers to have quite a solid amount of goals and assists across the season, and he's done that in half a season, considering that first half wasn't great, you know. So if he kept up that form, we're talking about
form at the right
exactly.
time.
If we're talking about good form, we're talking about Sancho. I think Rashford, as you said, he's definitely had the class brought out of him from the likes of Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion, the likes of Cavani. You know, not spoken about enough in my opinion. When you're talking about having that class striker in the box, who we've all agreed on in Harry Kane, I think Cavani's definitely brought that out of Rashford, and I don't see why Kane can't do the same in the England squad.
Big similarities between the two.
Yeah, a clinical finisher, a big presence in the box, someone you don't want the ball getting anywhere near. You know, just great with their head, great with their feet, just the shot power, the clinical finishing. Just both brilliant. I don't see why Rashford can't have that influence with Kane. You know. Harry Kane, as I said, brilliant in the box, great finisher, great with his head, and I think, in my opinion, he'll be my captain. But
he is. Yeah, agreed.
So that's my front three.
I mean, the only player I looked at for getting into that front three ahead of any of them was Phil Foden on that right hand side. I was thinking, if we have Rashford on the left cutting in onto his right, and we have Foden on the right cutting in onto his left, maybe that becomes a bit too predictable. There's no denying Phil Foden's outstanding talent. He could play anywhere across the front three, anywhere across the midfield.
He's brilliant.
Basically.
He is brilliant.
Which I think makes him an even more important option on the bench. Hence why I've got him in my squad as opposed to my starting 11.
Have we all agreed on the front three of Rashford, Kane, and having Sancho on the right?
Yeah, Rashford, Kane, and Sancho. So yes, this is our final starting 11. We have it here. Jordan Pickford, Kyle Walker, Harry Maguire, John Stones, Luke Shaw, Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson, Jesse Lingard, Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, and Harry Kane. So if you have any differing opinions to those raised by myself and the boys here this evening, then please do let us know down below. What do your starting 11s look like? What sort of players do you want to see in the squad? Was there anyone we missed out? Pop them down in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe, share, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
I feel like leaving Trent and Sterling out that squad will do them good.